Hello, my dear friends and my dear teacher. I'm Mehmet Emin Yılmaz. Today, I would like to talk about how did the relations between Turkey and America shape and what are the importance of the bilateral agreements made between 1950 and 2000. Let's look at the first step of the relations with Turkey and the USA. After the aid agreement of 12 July 1947, the first military agreement signed between Turkey and the USA. Turkey participated in the Korean War in 1950, joined NATO by signing the North Atlantic Treaty Organization Agreement in 1952, and relations with the West expanded in the military context. Between 1950 and 1960, more than 50 bilateral agreements were made between Turkey and the USA. We see some pictures down there. In that picture, Turkey sent troops to the Korea, nearly 4,000 and 1,500 soldiers. Let's look at the beginning of that period. The NATO Status of Forces Convention, signed on August 25, 1952, was approved by the Turkish Grand National Assembly on March 10, 1954. With this contract allowing the USA to establish military facilities and bases on Turkish territory and keep military personnel, the eyes have it. Now we look at some agreements with the USA in 1950s. As a result of the tax exemptions agreement signed on June 23, 1954, it was foreseen that no tax should be charged on the expenses to be made by the USA for the common defense. The Agreement on Defense Facility Assistance Program was accepted on April 25, 1955, and the additional obligations were imposed on Turkey due to the bases and facilities to be established in Turkey by the U.S. Military Facilities Agreement. The agreement on the U.S. use of surplus equipment and materials given under the Joint Defense Assistance Program was drawn up on May 26, 1955, allowing the United States to transfer non-essential equipment and materials to other states. We see in that down picture, actually this at that time news, 6 MEDIS agreements. Now we need to look at the U.S. Security and Cooperation Agreements, 1959. The Turkey and USA Security and Cooperation Agreements signed in 1959 after a series of agreements that gave various privileges to the USA and NATO was issued under the name of Cooperation Agreement between the Government of Republic of Turkey and the Government of the United States of America. And the law on the ratification of treaty, it was adopted by the Turkish Grand National Assembly on May 9, 1960, and entered into force by being published in the issue of the House Official Gazette, dates May 16, 1960. Now we can look at this some news. Turkish-American cooperation agreements was signed yesterday. At that time news that another picture we can see US ambassador and Adnan Menderes. Now we'll need to look at the course of the relations is changing. Upon Turkey hardening of its stance in the face of the armed conflicts that starts to be experienced between the Turkish and Greek communities in Cyprus at the end of 1963, the then U.S. President Johnson's letter to the then Prime Minister İsmet İnönü on 5 June 1964 called Turkey to Cyprus. The letter, which threatened Turkey not to intervene militarily and went down in history as the Johnson's letter, caused tensions in the relations between the two countries. İsmet İnönü's response was, a new world will be established. Turkey will take its place in that world. Now, at that time news, we can look at the Hürriyet News, Johnson's letter. Now we can look at the agreements of 3rd July 1969. During the Democrat Party period, the ownership of the American bases in the Turkey was given to United States with the military facility agreement of April 23, 1954. With the bilateral agreement of July 3, 1969, the ownership of the bases passed on to Turkey. 55 bilateral agreements signed between Turkey and the USA on different days were gathered in a single text with the Joint Defense and the Cooperation Agreement signed on 3 of July 1969. Now, again, we could see some news at that time. Turkey and Americans bilateral agreements were signed. Now we can look at the Cyprus shoe and arms embargo. According to the news published in the official gazette on July 1, 1974, it is that the United States imposed an embargo because Turkey did not stop the poppy cultivation. After the Cyprus operation, the US government of the period added the Cyprus operation to the embargo and demanded that the Turkey withdraw its soldiers from northern Cyprus. Turkey, on the other hand, did not recognize these unfair decisions and continued the Cyprus operation. The arms embargo was lifted in 1978 by the decision of the US Congress. Despite the lifting of the embargo, only 1980 arms aid to Turkey could reach the level before 1974. Due to this arms embargo, the need for weapons from the USA in Turkey was reviewed, and it was decided to establish the Turkish defense industry. Important Turkish defense industry companies such as Aselsan and Roketsan were established in this period. Now you can look at in July 25, 1975, upon the US arms embargo decision, the Turkish government terminates the 1969 Turkish-American Agreement on Joint Defense Facilities and Troops, the operations of bases and facilities outside injury base under the NATO mandates. September 26, 1978, the arms embargo applied to Turkey is lifted by the Congress. On the other hand, it is decided to open the American bases and facilities closed in Turkey with a temporary status. Now we can look at in 1980s and 1990s. In the 1980s, generally warm relations were observed between the governments of Turkey and the USA. In this period, although the Armenian question and the Cyprus issue cast a shadow over the Turkey-US relations, the relations generally developed as a positive level. The Prime Minister and the President, Turgut Özal, During the first Gulf War, U.S. President George Bush, he followed the policy of very close solidarity with Bush. Turkey closed the Kirkuk Yumurtalık oil pipeline carrying Iraqi oil. In addition, the Demirel and Chiller governments supported the flight ban imposed NATO in northern Iraq after the war. Now we can see some pictures down there. At that time, President Turgut Özal and Bush on the Bosphorus tour in 1991. When we came into the conclusion, as a result, the relations between the two were quite at the first, quite good at first, but in the 1970s, a very troubled process was entered with the sanctions imposed by the United States. However, in terms of bilateral relations, it was understood that these tensions would not be beneficial to both sides, and more stable relationships was tried to be established through the compromises. There's references. First, the Republic of Turkey Minister of Foreign Affairs. Second, the U.S. Department of States. Also, Turkish and United States relations chronology. Yeah, that's all. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you so much.